does our inner world, does our emotional realm, could that be an antidote to the dominant system of capitalism? Can working with our emotions play a role in transforming this capitalist system that the vast majority of us are in some shape or form, that is leading to injustices? So what role do emotions have to play? Let's look firstly at what capitalism is, just very briefly. So one of the pillars or principles of capitalism is that the means of production is owned by a small number of people. So there's a private ownership of the means of production. And production is there to maximize profit, to lead to a lot of profit for those individuals in particular. There's also the principle of the growth of the economy, an unrestrained growth of the economy that can then act like a kind of cancer, growing unrestrained without regard for the impacts of that growth in the wider system. And let's zone in a bit more into the workplace, where the means of production is owned by a small number of people. And there's a hierarchy in that you've got bosses, and the higher up you are, the more the profit that comes to you, the more you get of that profit. So there are bosses and there are workers. And so there are people who get a very high amount, and there are workers who, because they're in a system designed to maximize profit, and their wages reduces the profit, there's a tendency to have a low wage. And that's why there's a need for laws and unions to put pressure for workers' rights. And capitalism tries to minimize the rights of workers. At the same time, to further profits for companies, there's a tendency to produce things that we don't need. And there are workers then working in what David Graeber called bullshit jobs, jobs that aren't really that useful, other than for the benefit of increasing profit for a few. And what this system also does is that it doesn't have within it an ethical compass. And so if there are arms that are sold for profit, and those arms are used to destroy innocent lives, then that is in service to capitalism. The selling of those arms can lead to increased profit for a few, for companies. And then there's also this inequality that takes place between those who, where wealth gets concentrated amongst a few people, and the many, as is generally happening now. Life is getting harder for the many, but those at the top, their wages are increasing, and those sort of lower down and the middle class as well, life is getting harder. And so when life gets harder, people are looking for what the reason is. And those that tend to hold power are pointing and causing division. They're pointing to certain groups as being the cause, such as migrants, people of color, Muslims, and so forth. And this is causing, not only is that not accurate, it's really about concentration of wealth, but it's causing division and tension, unnecessary tension in society amongst ourselves. And I also want to talk about the ecological impacts in terms of the other than human world. Is when there's a world, a system that is for profit, then all aspects of the world are seen as potential components to support, to help increase profit. And so the other than human natural world is also then exploited. Resources diminish, and the increase of material going through the system leads to, at a high rate, and without holding it in a very wholesome way, leads to increased pollution as well. And that's what's driving climate change also. So capitalism is a system that is causing injustices in the human and the other than human world, is causing a major imbalance. And so what is the role of the inner world? What is the role of emotions? So let's talk a bit about that now, in how that could be an antidote to capitalism. So if we were to tune in more to our inner world, more to our emotions, more to what we're feeling, acknowledge, give value to those inner experiences, to our emotions, to when we feel happy, when we feel sad, when we feel angry, when we feel fulfilled. If we pay attention and allow ourselves to more freely feel those emotions and feelings in the body, then we begin to tune more to what's really going on for us. And the body, where we feel these experiences, is a wonderful barometer. It indicates to us, it gives us a sense of what might not be working for us, what might be working, what might be unjust here. It gives an indication, it points to what our needs are. Feelings can point to needs. And as we begin to be more connected to what we're feeling and able to verbalize, have a vocabulary for that inner world, that can help us to better communicate to ourselves and to others about what is needed. So this fosters authenticity, a culture of authenticity that we can co-cultivate with one another. What are we authentically feeling, and how do we respond to what we're noticing and what our body's communicating? So it's a wonderful foundation for an authentic response when we're in situations and settings and systems that are unjust. And when we're in a system that is not meeting our needs individually and collectively, our needs for autonomy, our need to have our voice heard, to participate, to have meaning rather than be in a bullshit job, as David Graeber would call it. And so therefore, this inner world, this centering of emotions, can be a component, along with other components, to help to dissolve the system of capitalism. It isn't the only thing we need, but it gives that authenticity and that coming from a more fuller being into this important world, this important work of societal change, societal transformation, where we also do need to be able to build collective power and be able to have systems of mutual care and mutual aid, and need to skill up in those skills of how we develop these things of collective power and collective decision making, so that the workers, the people, that we can really own that power of building a new society, of cultivating a new story, and helping to dissolve the current one, the current system of capitalism that is unjust, that is not serving the needs of people and the needs of the wider ecology. So yes, feeling emotions and the work around that does have a role in being an antidote to the capitalist system. It's a radical act to tune in to our inner world and what's going on inside, and to center that as part of a wider set of components to transform and liberate us from a cancerous system. And if you would like support to help you to tune in more to your inner world, to more of what you're feeling emotionally, there is an emotional relief walk-in, which consists of an audio, something that I developed, along with a small package around that with a document to help you understand things about your inner world and emotional connection further, and an email newsletter to help you further along the journey. So if you like the idea of that emotional relief walk-in, I'll drop a link somewhere, either in a comment or in the description, or both. And if you enjoyed this video, this reel, then please do give it a thumbs up, do give it a like, do follow, subscribe, share your comments. I'd love to hear from you. If you want more insights and explorations on individual and collective liberation, then definitely do follow and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video.